We all know that communication skills are important, but when it comes to interviews, it's almost like a necessity. And that's why over 40% of Acornies started practicing communication skills because they want to get good at interviews. And so after 9 months of testing and retesting and just talking with students, I finally figured out a complete process on practicing interviews with AI. Not only I'm going to show you the entire process, I'm going to give you everything. The prompts, the details, how I would give sample responses, how I would practice pitching and interviews using AI. I'm Mikey, and let's get started. So the complete process includes 4 different sections. First, you predict the questions. Second, you turn your resume into actually great stories. Third, you combine the stories with the questions. And 4, actually start to open your mouth and practice. Let's start with section 1. Predicting the questions. There's no way that you can prepare every single potential question from your interviews. Not to mention that you're gonna interview for like multiple positions within multiple companies, within multiple roles, right? So the best way for you to do that is to narrow down the list with AI, which is a relatively simple part. So the first thing you wanna do is to just paste the prompt that I give you down in the description. And so here's a quick overview of the prompt. I'm applying for the following position. Based on the job description, please help me list 15 most likely interview questions, including behavioral and case/hypothetical questions. Please do not include technical questions. Also, explain why these questions are relevant to the position, just so that you can have a better understanding. But yeah, feel free to exclude this from your prompt if you feel like you're more experienced. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use this position as an example, account manager, large customer sales, because I used to do this job and I think it's just easier for me to explain everything according to my own experience to see if the AI actually has a great outcome. So you just copy everything and you paste it here, down here at the job description. And then you put the title and the name and everything on there. So here's what ChatGPT gave me. There are 8 behavioral questions and 7 case/hypothetical questions, which is probably more than you can handle under a short period of time. Now, as someone who have gone through the account manager role at Google, I would say this is a pretty good representation for someone lower than 3 to 5 years of experience, which if you're a fresh grad, this works. So let's say you go through all these questions and then you filter out like 3 to 5 questions you want to start preparing, and then you can go to step 2. Second step, transform your boring stories into intriguing ones that can be used in interviews. I would argue this is probably the most important step out of the process because nowadays everybody's attention span is just so short, right? I mean, come on, how many of you are still watching this video? Oh, you're still watching? Nice. So the second step is to craft your experience into a story, something that's not as boring using the STARLA method. If you don't know what that is, it's situation, task, action, results, learning, and adjustments. Don't worry, I also have the prompt down below. Just use the prompt, copy and paste everything on there. It doesn't even have to be pretty. Now, I understand that when you're using AI, pretty things would have a prettier outcome, but just for the sake of efficiency, copy and paste everything on there. So I typed my story down there, and here's what we get. Kaboom! STARLA story with each paragraph carefully detailed. Now, obviously, it would be better if you read through it and actually have a sense of how it would be better to suit your speaking style. But this way of organizing everything is going to make it so much easier for you to prepare for your interview. So here's what you're gonna do. Repeat this process 5 times. Why 5 times? So in my own experience, you only need roughly 5 to 6 stories to really succeed in almost any interviews. So think about the 5 things that you've done in your past experience that really shows how good of a talent you really are. Third step is time to combine these two. You have your questions, you have your great stories, but how do you combine the stories with the questions? So simple. Now for step 3 is to combine the questions and your story. So I'm gonna pick one of the questions. I'm randomly picking one, and then I'm going to paste it right here. I asked the AI to give me the additional information on the answer strategy, why this answer can be effective, the keywords and professional vocabulary so that you can show your professionalism. And finally, which is really important, possible follow-up questions. Because a lot of times when you answer a question, it's best to have a conversation instead of just ask and answer, right? You want to ask the interview questions, so of course you want to expect that the interviewer have some questions for you, which is a good thing. Now, one more thing to add at the end of this prompt is please ask me some clarifying questions if you think my story isn't sufficient to answer these questions. Just in case that you make the mistake of combining the wrong questions with the wrong story, here's how you can clarify it and use AI to help you understand the process. So let's see the outcome. So here's the magic. When you see that there's a situation and task, the difference is that in this step, the task is highly tailored to these questions. I had no direct authority over the decision, so I need to influence the leadership team through a strong business case. Now, if you look back at the original task, it has nothing to do with influencing stakeholder management decisions. The second magic part is the possible follow-up questions. How did you handle objections? What specific data or metrics? Because none of these are answered in my original prompt. And I do that on purpose because not every student, not every Acornies like you, would have the complete mindset of saying everything in your prompt. So this can help you to avoid that mistakes of not being detailed enough. And one final magic is this. It asks me, did you prepare customized financial models, or did you rely mostly on past case studies or past campaign examples, right? This goes to show how the AI would think, this story might not be the best in terms of answering these questions, which is true in my own opinion. So remember, AI is not only your assistant, but it's also someone that you can discuss serious questions with. Now, if you want, you can also ask your AI to be a little bit more judgmental and aggressive in your prompt, so you might even get more constructive criticisms. And now finally, the last step is to actually practice with your mouth. I know, look, it's so important because oftentimes words in our head sounds really awesome, but when you actually say it out loud, it sounds terrible. So practice. So here's the final prompt. Tell ChatGPT that you would like to use voice mode to practice later. Act as the interviewer from the company for the position. I want to practice my interview skills and know the following requirements. First, review all the information above, including potential questions, resume, stories. Ask the questions that I've prepared. So within the same chat, you're supposed to repeat steps 2 and step 3 multiple times, right? So within the repeated process, the AI already remembers the questions that you prepared. After each answer, provide feedback on whether your expression was clear and logical, whether your vocabulary was professional and appropriate, and whether your answer was complete and relevant. Also, at the end of the prompt, say, the interview should be interactive. Please ask only one question at a time and wait for my response. Please do not answer the question yourself. At the end of the interview, please provide an overall evaluation and suggestions for improvements. But don't worry too much about this because after step 1 to step 4, there's another prompt for you to ask for a complete evaluation. So let's test it out using the voice mode on your phone. Hi, so I want to practice my interview with you, and as we've previously mentioned, I want you to act as the interviewer from Google, and I understand that the question is, can you give me an example of when you influence a senior stakeholder without direct authority? How did you approach it? Is it okay if I start the answer right now? Okay, just to make it clear, I want you to give me a full feedback, including communication skills such as intonation. Would that be okay?
Absolutely, that's no problem at all. I'll make sure to give you feedback not just on the content, but also on how you're delivering it. Things like your intonation, clarity, and overall communication vibe. So go ahead and jump in when you're ready. All right, Michael. That was a really solid run through. Let me give you a detailed breakdown of your answer and your communication style. Clarity and logic. You structured your answer really well following the STARLA method. It was easy to follow the flow from the situation to the result. You set up the problem and your role in it clearly, and your explanation of the pilot program was logical and straightforward. Your tone was friendly and confident. You sounded natural and not too rushed, which is exactly what you want in an interview. Just keep an eye on a few fizzle words like just or really, but overall your delivery was very clear. Overall evaluation, you did a fantastic job. The story's strong, the delivery was confident, and you used the STARLA method effectively. Just a tiny bit of timeline tightening and you'll be even more polished. Keep practicing and you're gonna do great.
Thank you, bye-bye. So when you return from the voice mode and you come back to your laptop, it has everything, the evaluation, the process, the things that you said, all in transcript mode. So this is a great record of all your past practices. After you're done all the way from section 1 to section 4, you're supposed to have a lot of these words that just coming out, spitting out from your mouth that doesn't really make a lot of sense, which is okay. Now you gotta input all of that back into the AI and ask for a complete evaluation and actual action steps that you can take to improve. Now the final thing you want to do is to evaluate everything. Evaluate all my answers, provide feedback, assess my answer from the following aspects: content and relevance, language use, expression, alternative expressions, specific improvement suggestions, and organize everything into a chart. So here we go, the final answer evaluation chart. So I only practiced once, right? But if you practice multiple times, the evaluation chart will be more broad and would include more of the past details in your practices. So yeah, everything, evaluation, feedback, alternative expressions, and all organized into a huge chart where you can just copy and paste on this table on your notes. One final thing before I wrap up everything. I do want to mention that there are other tools for you to practice, not just ChatGPT Plus. I just figured that it's an easy tool for everyone to use, but I came across this tool called Udly, YLDLI. I've used it multiple times because this is something I want to build in the future. I want to build something within Acorn Academy that will be much more nuanced and more learning design based, especially when it comes to communication and public speaking skills. But if you do have the time, I highly suggest you can go check them out. This is not sponsored by them. This is just a friendly suggestion. Okay, quick recap. You predict the questions, you craft your stories, you combine the stories with your questions, you start opening your mouth and practice, and you put all of that into the system for a complete evaluation. The hardest part about all of this is actually the motivation. Look, the fact that you already finished this video up until now is incredible. If you finish this video, I want you to go down there and comment and make yourself just like a tiny promise, right? Leave a record of promises so that you can start actually taking steps. You don't even need to finish all of them. Just start with section 1 and 2 and 3, right? At least have your story prepared. That's how you prepare interviews with AI. At the end of the day, communication skills, speaking skills, that is irreplaceable when it comes to real human interaction. Remember that. If you find this video helpful, comment, subscribe, anything to help me grow. I'm Mikey, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.